I've said this for years. The media is like the IRS. We're built to audit, not be your friends. So when Jimmy Johnson asks a real question, like, when you face them a second time, a very unique offense, the element of surprise and uniqueness is gone. What will Philadelphia be like? Well, Washington, I compared them to the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. Not saying they're not good, but when you face Lamar the second time, remember the Chargers that first year? Faced him a second time. They beat him. Element of surprise is gone. Well, Washington faced Philadelphia for the second time and dominated him. Twice the plays, twice the rushing yards, twice the time of possession, twice the total yards, dominated them. Better team all night. We also asked the question, what will Jalen Hurts be like as a young quarterback trailing? I mean, Baker Mayfield with a lead in a run game looked like a Pro Bowler. What will Jalen Hurts be trailing in a game? Because that's playoff football. You're the favorite. The pressure's on. You're at home. Couple bad series. You fall behind. The games are close. The other team's got a run game. You're not getting on the field as much as usual. You're turning the ball over. They're not. The Eagles have lived on turnovers all year. Last night, they turned it over. They trailed. Washington had the better run game. The pressure was on Philadelphia. That's a playoff environment. That's what playoff games are like for any team that goes in as a one seed. Yeah, you'll be at home off a bye, but that team playing you may have seen you before. You may trail. You may not have the run game. You may turn it over. And what did we see from Philly in the second half? A touchdown, couple of punts, couple of fumbles. That's what it looked like. Now, again, it's not hating on a team to suggest that a unique quarterback with a unique offense would dominate the regular season. But if you force him to play behind like the Ravens early, and the Ravens have, by the way, mostly figured it out. Lamar and the Ravens offense, much better playing from behind than 2 years ago. But these are all questions that had to be asked. Last night does not change the way I think of Philadelphia. I think they're a really good team with a lot of really good players. But the turnover stuff we talked about, they weren't going to dominate turnovers for every game this year. And last night when they didn't, they got housed at home. And they're still an evolving team. But the reality of the NFC hasn't changed. I mean, San Francisco's 5-4 and is never healthy. Tampa's 5-5 and can't run the football consistently. Seattle's got Geno Smith. The Vikings are 8-1, but Kirk Cousins can shrink in big games. New York Giants are 7-2, but feel like they're pretty much dominated by Saquon Barkley. Dallas just got exposed. The Packers are under 500. So nothing has changed. I don't think less of Philadelphia. I just have more information on Philadelphia today. And when they trail and the pressure's on them and the other team is running the ball and the other team dominates time of possession and Jalen Hurts feels like he's watching the game as much as he's playing it or more, that's what they look like. That's a playoff game because the pressure is going to be on. If they played again, it's on Philadelphia, not Washington. It's not going to be on Taylor Heinicke. It's not going to be on Ron Rivera. It's going to be on Nick Sirianni, the young guy that got the job in his second playoff run. Got to win games now. So I think Philadelphia is still really, really good. I think they'll be the number one seed. Nothing really changes. We just have more information. They're more fallible. They're more human. They're like everybody else in the league. You execute or you lose. You don't turn it over, even at home, or you lose. They'll be fine. And they'll remain, I believe, the number one seed in about 7-8 more weeks. All right, let's talk about a coaching job. I said yesterday, I'm not a fan of it, but I said I think Denver has to make a coaching change. It's not getting better off a bye week. But in the same show yesterday, I said, let's take a deep breath on the Raiders. I would much rather have the Raiders' current situation than Denver's situation. I feel Denver's dire, trapped, and there's no way out. I think the Raiders are fine. And so Mark Davis came out yesterday, the owner of the Raiders. And he said, listen, people in today's world want instant gratification. The guy's coached 9 games. We're 2-7, not the results we're looking for. Same time, we've lost 6 one-score games. I give my vote of confidence. When I signed him, that's what I gave it to him. Rome was not built in a day. So I defended the Raiders yesterday, and I want you to think about this. Coaching, believe it or not, is much harder than Twitter makes it sound. So here's what happened with this team in the 12 months before the guy over my shoulder, head coach Josh McDaniels, got the job. John Gruden was fired. He was going to be there forever, right? Fired. Chaos. Their first-round pick, Henry Ruggs, a receiver, killed a Las Vegas civilian off the team, jail. They cut another first-round pick in 2020. Damon Arnett, threats, internet, violence, Instagram, out. 2 first-round picks. Bye. GM Mike Mayock fired. Okay. All the while, Denver, we thought was getting better. The Chargers were adding pieces. Kansas City in division adding pieces. So Josh McDaniels comes in, and he takes a big swing. I'm going to get a wide receiver, Devontae Adams. They bring him in. But in the process, they give up a first and a second-round pick in the draft. So they have had so many whiffs. The previous group of people have had so many whiffs in the draft, or they've had to get rid of people in the draft, that you have a very thin team with most of the talent on offense. I mean, in fact, look at the draft. Their last 6 first-round picks. Cut. And then Josh Jacobs and Farrell, the defensive end, he's kind of a bust. There you go. And so they take a big swing. They bring in a receiver, give up 2 more first-round picks, and first to second-round pick. And they got some talent on offense, but not on defense. And then what happens? The offense has the injury bug. And Hunter Renfrow is hurt. And Darren Waller is hurt. And the talent, which is completely lopsided, on the offensive side's got most of it. 2 of their biggest stars get hurt. Okay. And then you look at the 2-7 and say they're terrible. Okay. They're 0-6 in one-possession games. Who was the team in the NFL last year that was terrible in close games? Minnesota. 8-1 this year. Offensive coach winning close games. The difference is there wasn't massive chaos with the Vikings. They just replaced a coach. Look at the chaos Josh McDaniels had to overcome. They're just losing close games. They're in it. All their talent, because of so many whiffs by the previous guys on their top picks, their talent's mostly on offense. And 2 of their 3 biggest stars got hurt. What are you going to do? I mean, think about this. The Raiders' point differential. They're in games as -23. That's better than the Chargers in their own division that have a winning record. That's better than the Packers. Tennessee is right now 6-3. They have a negative point differential. So Tennessee winning all the close games, Minnesota winning all the close games, Raiders losing them all. And they probably should lose them all because they're not very good defensively. And Darren Waller's great, can't play. Hunter Renfro's amazing, IR. This stuff is really, really hard. It's way harder than social media would lead you to believe. Most jobs are. But I think Denver needs to make a move. I'll defend the Raiders again. I would take the Raiders job tomorrow. I've had 2 former head coaches tell me that Raider thing's interesting. You could keep Derek Carr. You could move him and get a bunch of picks. There's no cap hit. They got stars on offense. They got pass rushers. Like, it's not a bad job. And I don't think it's a terrible team. 0-6 in one-possession games. I think the Raiders win about half of the remaining games. Believe it or not, they'll be viable. But this stuff is hard. And I think Mark Davis is being honest. Wasn't built in a day. We're kind of a mess. This was never going to be a one-and-done job. This was never going to be the Vikings turnaround. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.